Hello, readers. Welcome to another reading class with me, Miss Taylor. I'm glad you're here. All right, are we ready to read? Do we have our textbook, a bookmark, or a finger to track and follow along? Workbook, pencil. We're going to remember to track with our finger, to read each word carefully, pay attention to end marks. Some of our goals, we're going to read with accuracy, expression. We're going to understand what's happening in the story, make connections to characters' feelings, and enjoy the story. We know that reading is thinking. There's so many things going on in our brains as we read. And so we just want to be aware of those things and thinking about how our thinking can help us to understand and enjoy the story. All right, we have some vocabulary sentences for today. Our first one, the applause interrupted his speech. The applause interrupted his speech. We also learned a sentence about what she selected. She selected a comfortable seat. And the last sentence we learned was, without gravity, they were weightless. So everybody, what word means that something has no weight? Yeah, weightless. What word names the force that pulls things back to Earth? Gravity. Nice job. So again, without gravity, they were weightless. And you can imagine what that would feel like to be weightless, like these astronauts kind of floating inside of maybe it's like a zero gravity chamber, kind of just how that would feel to be weightless. Sometimes we feel a little bit weightless, like when we're swimming and we're kind of floating on our backs. I imagine it might feel something like that. All right. So we have, let's see if I can make myself a little smaller here. Whoops. So our word list for today, we have 3 of them. And let's take a look at column number 1. So we are on page 274 in your textbook. So word 1 is Tokyo. What word? Yeah, and Tokyo is the largest city in Japan. The largest city in Japan. Word 2 is oxygen. What word? Yeah, and oxygen is the part of the air that our body needs to survive and to breathe. Oxygen. Word 3 is guest. What word? Word 4 is pressure. What word? And pressure is kind of a push. Pressures, sort of a push. So if you push your hands together, you're putting pressure on your hands. If you push your hands against the wall, you're putting pressure on the wall. So kind of a force of pressure. It's kind of like in our last story when Edna and Carla went to that island and then there was that volcano and they felt a lot of pressure when it erupted, a lot of force, pressure, like something pushing on them. All right. And word 5 is adult. What word? And word 6 is guy. What word? Nice job. Let's try the fast way. Tokyo. Oxygen. Guest. Pressure. Adult. Guy. Nice job. And column 2. So in column 2, all of these words have more than one syllable. Word 1 is classroom. What word? Word 2 is failure. What word? Word 3 is message. What word? Word 4 is office. What word? Word 5 is spaceship. What word? And word 6 is Sydney. What word? And that is someone's name. So capital letter, proper noun, someone's name, Sydney. I'm predicting we might meet someone named Sydney in our story. And column 3. Word 1 is certainly. What word? Word 2 is underlined. What word? Word 3 is correctly. What word? Word 4 is improvement. What word? And word 5 is worried. What word? All right, nice job. Let's go to part B, waiting for a letter. Wendy's fingers were sore from writing. She had spent most of the last 4 hours writing answers to test items. 4 hours. Remember the test? 4 hours. Now she was reading over her answers a final time. The woman with gray hair walked to the front of the room. All right, she said. The time is up. Stop writing. Turn your test booklets over. Make sure that your name is on it and pass it forward. So can you imagine how Wendy must be feeling? I'm thinking probably kind of relieved that the test is over, but probably also really nervous. Like, did I do okay? Did I do my best work? And also Wendy, her fingers and her hands, her fingers are really sore because she's been writing for 4 hours. Wow. So her fingers. Ooh. Suddenly, Wendy felt very frightened. Had she answered all the questions correctly? There were a couple of items that she wasn't sure about. She wasn't sure how fast Traveler 3 went or when it was built. So remember last time we learned about Traveler 4. Remember how fast Traveler 4 can travel? 1,000 miles per second. But Wendy can't remember about Traveler 3, which must have been the spaceship before Traveler 4. So let's see. Wendy knew many facts about Traveler 1, Traveler 2, and Traveler 3. Traveler 1 held 200 passengers, but it was a very slow ship compared to Traveler 4. Traveler 1 could only go 1 mile per second. Traveler 1 could go 1 mile per second, and Traveler 4 can go 1,000 miles per second. Wow. All right. Traveler 1 took almost 12 years to go from Earth to Jupiter. 12 years. Traveler 4 could make the same trip in 4.5 days. Wow. Traveler 2 could go faster than Traveler 1. Traveler 3 could go faster yet. But Wendy wasn't sure how fast Traveler 3 could go. She had written that it could go 45 miles per second, and she hoped her answer was right. You'll be getting a letter within a few weeks, the gray-haired woman said. So the story was talking about the travelers, and now it switched back to something else. Where is the story taking place now? Yeah, in the testing room. So the test is over and the woman is talking, the woman with the gray hair. The woman continued, your letter will tell you either that you have been selected to go on the trip or that you haven't been selected. So this letter that they're going to receive is going to tell them if they've been selected to go on the trip or if they have not been selected. And remember that there's 30 students taking the test, and only the students who do the very best, the 10 students who have kind of the best scores on the test get to go. Then the woman said, I found out just this morning where the trip will go. Oh, I guess they didn't know where it was going to go before. We did know it was somewhere across the solar system. If you're selected, you'll go to the planet Jupiter and spend nearly a week there. All right. So Wendy didn't know before taking the test where exactly the spaceship was going to go. We just knew it was somewhere across the solar system, but now they found out they're going to Jupiter. And remember how Wendy feels about Jupiter? Yeah, she thinks it's the most interesting planet. Wendy listened to the words, but she didn't feel excited. She still felt worried about answering the questions correctly. The woman continued, I know that the letter will disappoint most of you. Because remember, only 10 students will be selected. And so how many will be disappointed? 20, right? 20 of them will not get to go on the trip. The woman said, just remember that you have had a chance to learn a great deal, and you certainly should not feel like a failure if you aren't selected. So she's kind of encouraging them and saying, You shouldn't feel like a failure. You shouldn't feel like, oh, I failed it. I didn't do a good job. Because she's saying you've learned a lot and you've worked really hard. Wendy turned around and looked at the faces of the other students in the room. Some were smiling. Most were serious. The girl directly behind Wendy looked very sad. What's wrong? Wendy asked. I blew it, she said. I just blew it. I thought I knew this stuff, but my mind seemed to go blank and She covered her face with her hands. Have you ever felt like that? Like it was this thing that you wanted to do really well on and you're like, oh, I blew it. I know I've felt like that before. It's not a very good feeling, is it? And she says her mind kind of went blank. Sometimes that happens when we get nervous about something. We're trying to remember and we're like, I just can't remember. Wendy turned around and put her hand on the girl's shoulder. Hey, she said, maybe you did better than you think. Yeah, the girl said and uncovered her face. She tried to smile. The woman in the front of the room said, good luck and thank you. Everybody stood up and started talking at the same time. A lot of students were asking questions like, what was the answer to the question about the mountains in Japan? Wendy turned to the girl who had been sitting behind her. Wendy said, what's your name? Sydney Miller, she said. Listen, Wendy said. When they send the list of people who are going on the trip, I'll look for your name. Maybe we'll both make it. Thanks, Sydney said. That was kind of her. All right, so there's some dots here. That means part of the story is missing or that some time has passed. The mail usually came to Wendy's house at 11 each morning. Okay, so now the setting has changed. So now we're at Wendy's house and she's waiting for the mail. By 11:15, Wendy's math class. Oh, wait a second. Now she's in math class. Oh, so it was talking about when the mail usually came, but I guess she's in school. By 11:15, Wendy's math class was over, so she ran to the phone and called her home. For the last 5 days, she had called home at 11:15 each morning. Hi, Mom, she would say each day. She didn't have to tell her mother why she was calling. Her mother would say, it hasn't come yet. So her mom knew what her question was going to be. Hi, Mom, did the letter come for me? But her mom would just say, not yet. Oh, Wendy would say. Each time her mother told her that the letter hadn't come, Wendy felt glad and sad. She felt sad because she hadn't found out whether she was going on the trip. She felt a little glad because she didn't want the letter to come if it said she wasn't going. So she kind of has these mixed feelings. She's like a little bit sad, but also a little bit glad. She doesn't want to find out if she didn't make it. All right. Please read the rest of the story on your own. And I'm going to let you go ahead and finish what we have left for today. So you're going to finish the rest of the story. And you're going to go back and read the story one more time on your own. And you're going to answer the questions at the end of the story. Complete the workbook. Read for 20 more minutes and have a wonderful rest of your day, scholars. I will see you again soon. Bye.